Hey everyone, thank you for visiting Energy Rising. My name is Jenea, and today is Therapy Thursday. And the topic that I have chosen to talk about today is how energy affects our mental health. And so today I'm going to kind of go into a couple of things, but one of them is just my basic philosophy of our energetic, physical, mental, and emotional bodies. And the reasons why I am a mental health therapist and an energy worker, along with the other practices that I have. And so I would like to talk about why I believe energy affects mental health and specific ways that you might actually find your own energy affecting your mental health. And so as you're watching this video, I want you just to kind of listen and consider if maybe some of these things might apply to you. So, I want to start by saying that I have been working in the mental health field for about 20 years, and I have been in private practice as a therapist for about 2, and done a lot of therapeutic work prior to that. So that's kind of my experience in the mental health field. I mean, I've been studying psychology really since I was about 15. It was something that has always really interested me. I always knew I was going to be a therapist, and it is something that I have, that has like evolved for me over time to actually owning my own practice. So, and as far as energy work, it's something that I've actually done my entire life. When I was a kid, I used to do energy work, and as a teenager, and at some point in life, I kind of like shut down. And that was like reawakened for me in 2012 when I got a traumatic brain injury. And so I have actually been practicing energy work through the modality of Reiki for about 10 years. And what I have found over time are the ways in which those things really overlap. And I will say that, in my energy practice, what I found was that people were coming to see me for, number one, either some kind of like a chronic physical illness, like chronic pain or immune disorders or things like that, that were like physical body problems or illnesses. Or they were coming to see me because of something going on with their mental health. And either way, as I did energy work, it became really apparent that those things, whether it was like physical illnesses or mental illnesses, were happening because of the things that were stored in people's energetic bodies. And so, over time, like becoming a mental health therapist, then practicing in mental health, I could see the ways that in the mental health field, that things were happening for people energetically that were influencing their mental health. And so this is a topic that's actually really important to me. Obviously, that's kind of why this has become my life's work. And so just kind of in general, I believe that we have a physical body. So that's like, this body that I can see and touch, that I feel things in, that I take care of by eating and showering and, all of those kinds of things. And so we have this physical body, and this is really where we make things happen. So we do things with our physical body, right? You can sit and think all day long or sit and feel something all day long, but it doesn't actually get done until our physical body picks it up and does it. And so our physical body is something that's really important. People often come to me with some like physical illnesses, and they are very much linked in to these other bodies. So then we have the physical body, and then we have a mental body. And so the mental body is kind of where we house ideas and understanding, and it's sort of like an imprint of it's like how we think. And the mental body influences the physical body. It kind of helps us to decide what we're going to do and not do. And the mental body is also tied in with the other bodies that we have. And so it's kind of the body that is like the driver in the seat of this car. And then we have an emotional body. And I like to think of our emotional bodies actually as kind of like a vibrational container. And so our emotional bodies are where we're meant to kind of be like a conduit. And emotions are just like energy that's like moving through us. So we have an experience, the emotion moves through us, we let it go. And really in, every other animal aside from humans, when they have a traumatic event or something happen, the emotion moves through them, and it's like, and then they clear it out and they let it go. But there's something different about us as humans, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But so we have this like emotional body, and it's where our emotions run through us. So the physical body, we have been taught how to take care of that, like how to feed it. It's like what we think of kind of as like basic needs. So this physical body is like really tangible. We sometimes, depending on how connected you are to your physical body, you might know when you're hungry or things that you feel. But the more that you're in disconnection with yourself, the less you're actually attuned to your physical body, which I want to kind of get into that. But we've been taught in this world that we have this physical body. The mental body is actually what I think is the most focused on in this world. So if you think about the way that people are always saying, like, just think positive, your mind control, your mind really decides like what you do. You have to have a clear mind, so it's like, also our world is very much like structured in, or is like about structured kind of stuff. And this is very mental. And there's nothing wrong with physical or mental. They're actually really important. And both of those are like masculine energies that we have. There are masculine bodies. And our world is heavy in masculinity. And I mean that in so many ways, but in this way specifically, just the way that we're taught about our physical bodies and our mental bodies. But we're even taught that if you can just like think your way out of it, you can disconnect from your physical body, right? And so we really weigh heavily on mental. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that like we're having a huge mental health crisis. So our emotional bodies though, are we've been kind of taught to disconnect from them, to suppress them, to all kinds of things. And usually that happens because when we're young, our emotional bodies are very much conduits, and our emotions just move through us, right? Like if a baby is hungry or they're hurt or they need something, they cry. And it's just a natural thing that happens. They cry. There isn't any kind of like, nothing's telling them that they can't cry. And then ideally they get the need met, and it teaches them that, these emotions are kind of like a signal to the outside world. So, as we're growing up though, our emotions make other people uncomfortable, and we live in a world that has been very disconnected from emotions for a while. And that's really been, out of safety, that, we've believed that our emotions actually make life harder, that it's like harder to function. And so we've been pretty shut down emotionally, and that is passed down through generations. And so, like when you're a kid and you're crying and it makes your parents uncomfortable, you might learn that when you cry or you emote these emotions that you have, that you're going to be rejected or abandoned, right? And so we start to get these kinds of ideas, and we start to bring in protections and like natural defense mechanisms that are built into us that kind of keep that kind of close up that container a little bit. And so the reason that that's important is that we also then have this energetic body, and our energetic body is what I like to think of as like spirit. It's like who we are, but not in a way that's logical, but in like, it's like our signature of who we are and how we show up in the world. And our energetic bodies carry all of our experiences, and our energetic bodies are linked to our physical and mental bodies. And when and there, it's like our spirit is here experiencing our emotions and our mental cognitions and our physical reality, right? And also our energetic bodies interact with each other. So like here I have this physical body, and my physical body might interact with yours when I'm, doing something physical with you. So like hugging or fighting or, whatever. But like the physical bodies can interact. Our mental bodies can interact if we decide to have a conversation and talk about things. Our emotional bodies might interact if I have an emotion and you're empathic and you feel that emotion, or vice versa. And so those are ways that like our bodies can interact. But we also have this energetic body, and our energetic bodies are naturally always connected. And it's like a field of energy that we have. And I mean, we don't even have to be in the same vicinity. In fact, a lot of things that I do on this channel and I do in life and will continue to do on this channel, and help people explore, is the way that our energetic bodies are connected when we're not even together. Like energy doesn't know time and space. And so our energetic body is like this vastness that we can't really understand mentally. And so it's like our emotional bodies and our energetic bodies are very much are very feminine parts of us. There are feminine bodies, and we have really been taught to reject the feminine in us. And so that's that is culturally, and it's like it happens in a lot of different ways. And I don't want to get into like a whole thing about that, because it plays out in so many ways, the ways we reject our own feminine selves and other people's feminine selves. But it's not really something that we have been taught a lot about. And I hope to be a part of changing that. So the problem with not learning about our energetic bodies and suppressing or closing down our emotional bodies is that those are really about movement and flow. And we naturally have movement and flow of that. Our emotions move. It actually kind of like helps us to expand even more into our energetic body when we allow our emotions. But when we're shutting them down and holding on to them, they get stuck in places. And so this is where you'll see things like, physical illnesses, like people having stomach aches all the time and headaches, having autoimmune disorders, people getting, rashes on their bodies, not being able to have babies. Like there are a lot of ways, and I'm not saying that like everything that's physical is caused by emotional or energetic issues, because also it's like we also have to take care of our physical body in a certain way. However, I see a lot of cases where people's emotional and energetic dysfunction is causing dysfunction in their body. And so that's like one way that it affects us. But what I really want to talk about today is the way that it affects mental health. So, generally when someone comes in to see me, I mean, they're not just coming to a therapist because like they think it's a good idea. They're not usually just coming to an energy worker because they think it's a good idea. Usually when people come in to see me, and specifically I think because I kind of, I know that this is what I do. That I've kind of like, it's like out in the world, even before I started talking about it out loud, which, was a really hard thing for me to start doing. Because I had a lot of blocks to it. But like before I started doing that, it's like the world just knew that I was someone that you could come to when you're like really going through something hard. Like I can hold space for that. And so generally when people come in to see me though in my practice, they are usually having like some kind of problems in their relationship. They are struggling with like some kind of mental health symptoms. That might be depression. I've worked with a lot of people who have like pretty severe long-term depression. People who are having anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, people who feel very confused about who they are or what they like or what they want. they're like having, I think maybe I already said, like problems in their relationships. And so those are kind of like some of the symptoms that someone might come in to see me about. Or, you know, I work with a lot of people who come in to see me because they have no connection to their emotions. Like they know that like things that are happening in their life are things that you would generally like have some kind of emotion about, and they have concern because they don't feel any emotion. And maybe this is something that people in their lives have pointed out to them, that like it's concerning to other people that they don't have any emotion, but they can't really just reach inside and get it because they don't have any connection to it. Or I work with people who are like overly emotional, who, you know, basically like fall apart at everything. And they usually kind of, they feel like that's not an accurate representation of who they are. It's just like they feel like their emotions just have so much power over them. And all of these things actually come from the things that we hold on to energetically. And so this is one of the ways that energy affects your mental health, because generally when I start to work with people, what I start to find is that they have these like experiences that are traumatic, experiences that, you know, make them have certain kinds of emotions, and rather than allowing those emotions to move through them, they hold on to them, right? And they might sever from their emotional body, or they might, the emotion that energetically it gets stuck in them because they don't really know how to process it. Maybe they needed to say it out loud to the person that was involved. Maybe they needed, you know, to cry out loud and they didn't. Maybe they needed to somehow like, you know, relate to their emotion logically and like figure it out, but they couldn't, because like what emotion does and kind of where it leads, is that how I want to say it? What emotion does and like how it lives through us, you know, it's like it's not the same for every person what they need to feel like they have a safe emotional container. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, so generally that's kind of what I find, is that they hold on to that, and then energetically they have these things that are stuck inside of them. And when we do that and we walk around in the world and we're interacting with other people, we get triggered. And what's happening is that we have this experience that has not moved through us, and it's actually stuck there, is it hasn't been properly processed. Again, how that looks for you might be a little bit different, but it hasn't been properly processed. My battery's gonna die. And so it's like, you know, someone will do or say something and their energetic field is like hitting that energy that we're holding, and it's kind of like shocking it, right? And if we're unwilling to let that move and process, and we have the resistance and the blockage and our defenses are coming up and all that stuff, it causes all kinds of mental health issues, because it's like so triggering, and either you're super overwhelmed or you're super shut down, or, you know, whatever it is that happens for you as far as like your mental health goes, and mentally around that emotion. And it's going to be different again depending on like what it is that happened and how that felt, and like what you're holding back and how you're holding it back. And so that's one of the ways that energy affects our mental health. And so when people come in to see me, usually in the first session that I have, it's really about like going in, and what I do is I communicate with your higher self. So it's not like I'm doing something so amazing and just moving things out of you. Like, I'm actually connecting with your higher self, and you're the one telling me what needs to go and what needs to stay. So I'm just actually helping you to clear that out, because you're not as connected with your energetic body yet as I am. But my aim really is to clear some of that out so that it's a little bit easier to know and listen to yourself, and then to teach you to do that, to really get in tune with yourself. Because I believe that's our natural state, and really where we find joy and where we find freedom, and we find authentically who we are, which changes our whole entire experience of the world. And so, you know, the other way that energy affects your mental health is the ways that our energy fields are connected. And so what I mean by that is that we all have an energetic field. And even if you don't like believe in like this woo woo stuff, and you think that energy is like something that isn't real, which, you know, is definitely something that the world has believed for a long time, and why I always felt like was, you know, I always like thought I was weird and people said I was weird, because I just always knew that it was real. And so even if you're a person who like doesn't believe in this stuff, people tell me that all the time. You still have an energetic body. You can't not have it. You have it. And what happens is that by being disconnected from that energetic body, you don't know what's happening with you and another person energetically. And so, you know, each person has an energetic field. And so like when I'm in contact with you, or even when I'm not, even if I think about you, or, you know, there are a lot of ways that we connect our energy. I'm affecting your energy field and you're affecting my energy field. And, you know, like there's kind of this idea, I feel like lately, that I've seen a lot, that this is somehow like a bad thing, you know, like how this idea that we should be encapsulated in our own energy field. But I actually believe that like we're supposed to be connected. We are connected. It is, you know, there is a reason that our energetic bodies are connected to each other. And, you know, I really believe in like the way that we're all one. And it's at that level that we're one. And we're generally doing something for each other energetically. And so that happens in different ways. And, you know, one of the things that you might hear a lot about is like being an empath, right? So what that means is that your energetic field is open to sensing what's in other people's energetic fields. And specifically, though, emotionally. And so you might sense other people's emotions. This can cause a lot of mental health issues if you're not aware of your energetic body and the way that you are sensing those things. Because like, say that you're alone and you feel really secure and great about yourself, and then you walk out into public and you start to feel really sad or depressed, or like, you know, don't like these certain things. And it can be really confusing, because then you're like, wait a minute, like, I didn't know I felt all these ways, when really maybe what you're feeling is other people's feelings. And that can be super confusing, because then it's like you don't really know how you actually feel. So, you know, another way that someone's energetic field might interact with another person's is your energy might be like an instigator of something. You might bring out like shadowy energy in people. You might kind of like, you have an energetic field that kind of shines a light on the shadowiness in people. And that can really affect your mental health, because you'll find yourself walking around the world involved in relationships with people who like you can really see these like shadowy kind of character traits about them. And you know, you also might energetically be a person who is like very giving of energy, and you give love and joy and peace and like this like beautiful, you know, I think about it like a Care Bear just like shooting out this energy. And that can cause a lot of problems in mental health, because like you might be a person who's super giving, and all these people are coming into your life because they desperately need what you have to give. Because we're so shut off to ourselves and so shut off to the joy and the love that we really hold, that like we desperately need someone else to give it to us. And also, you know, there are a lot of wounded people walking around who didn't have those needs met, which I believe are basic needs. They're just as basic as our need for food and water, is our need for like love and affection and attention. And so they may have not gotten those needs met, and so they're like, they desperately need what you have to give, and you're just blasting it out, and you're not aware of this, and probably super over giving and not giving to yourself, and not, you know, a lot of times this can make you shut down to receiving, because when you're little and you're like a giver, you like the response that you get, or like sort of the connection that you make, is if I give this, if I blast this out, then the people around me will love me. And it is kind of a way that like tricks us into thinking that we get our needs met that way. But then you know, in adulthood, it definitely doesn't really meet your needs because we all need to give and receive. So another way that you might do this is actually like energetically taking things from people. So, you know, for me, like energetically, my energy field, I can actually just like remove other things that people are holding on to energetically. And this can cause a lot of problems in mental health because we have a container for energy, and when we're holding on to our own traumas and we have all this energy stuck into it in us, and like, you know, our energy field is pretty vast, right? But it doesn't feel very vast when we have so much shit stacked up in it. And when it doesn't feel vast and we're collecting things from other people, it can feel really overwhelming. It can cause a lot of anxiety. It can cause, you know, just like, it can feel so overwhelming that you just like want to disconnect from yourself because it's just like so much information and stuff coming in, right? So, you know, some people also are like takers of energy. And you know, there's a lot of things about how like people can be energy vampires. And I think this comes from a really deeply unmet need where they actually needed someone to like give them energy. They need to take it from people because they naturally maybe can't like create their own. Or they don't know how to create their own because, like, again, we're not taught about this like energetic stuff, and so the need doesn't get met, and then it feels like this like a monstrous wound that's just like desperate for you to give me your energy. But I think it takes two people and an energetic connection, and so, you know, it's not ever like somebody's just taking all of your energy. You're giving it to them. And this is why I think it's really important to get in alignment with our energetic bodies. Like, oftentimes I see things in a way where, like, you know, people will come in to see me and I can see how connected they are to their physical body and how connected they are to their emotional body, their mental body, and their energetic body. And so many people's energetic bodies aren't even with them. What I mean by that is like they're not in alignment with this body. They might be standing off to the side. They might be in another room. You know, their energetic body might be like just off wandering around somewhere, not even connected to them. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's like the way in which I can in my mind kind of understand what's happening for someone related to their connection to their energetic body. And a lot of people are very disconnected. And when you're disconnected, you're open to just whatever, because we're in connection and we're not really making any choices for ourselves energetically. And I believe that we are meant to be really sovereign over our own energy. And that doesn't mean that we're meant to shut people out, but we're meant to like be aware of what's happening. Like if we're connected and I'm taking things from you, I need to be really aware of that so that I can be letting them go. Because I believe that when we have these gifts, and that's what I see them as, and oftentimes they can feel like a curse, and especially when they're causing all these mental health problems of like, you know, anxiety or depression, because sometimes when it's too much, we shut down and it's depression, or, you know, being super confused about who we are. So it doesn't really feel like a blessing when it's causing issues in your mental health or even your physical health. But I do believe that there's a reason for why we do this for each other. And so, you know, when I take things from people energetically, every once in a while I will hold on to them. Not, you know, it's usually not because I'm not being conscious of it. But ultimately it leads to some kind of a revelation for me around, you know, my own energetic field and the things that I do. So that said, generally, I like to take those things and I like to put them back out into the universe, where the universe takes them and turns them into something really beautiful for this plane. And energy never dies. It's like transmuted and recycled for something better. And so every time that we're helping people, we're helping each other energetically, we're contributing this like beautiful energy to the world, and we're all doing it. It's just whether or not you're aware of it. So, you know, if you yeah, if you feel like any of these things are true for you or things that you've noticed, it'd be great if you like put that in the comment box below and let me know about that, or, you know, just sort of your thoughts or ideas on this. And I you know, have been debating like on my channel putting about anything about like personal sessions. I am generally pretty busy, but this is work that I love to do. And so if you're interested in a personal session with me, you can email me at energyrising1111@gmail.com and see about scheduling. It's usually probably like 3 to 4 weeks out before I'll be able to get you in. But you know, and generally like personal sessions or private sessions are really about like, you know, doing some clearing out of this energy. If it's not something that you're super in touch with, your own energetic field, bringing that back together, connecting it to you, clearing out the things that have been keeping you in disconnection from your energetic body, and then helping you learn how to be in alignment with your own energetic body, and how to, you know, that's really what I think that, like, if I could encapsulate what I think healing is, because I'm not a believer in like wound shaming, right? We all have so many wounds and hurts and like, you know, dysfunctional behaviors and like all of these things. And I don't think that they're anything to be ashamed of. And they hurt us. They hurt us internally. They hurt other people around us. But like, I don't think that there's shame in it. And it really like upsets me the way that we like wound shame people. But I guess like what I think about healing is that to me it's actually about alignment. And the more that we can address these kind of like energetic things that are stuck in us, or the ways that we're shutting off to our emotions, the more that we can address those things, the more that we can align our physical and mental bodies with our emotional and energetic bodies, and the healthier we can live, and the more in tune we can be with each other, with ourselves. And it really just makes life so much more aligned and smooth. And so, and I'm not saying that that means that life is always great, because this life can be hard and crazy and sad and all the things. But it makes it like more flowing. And so I would love to help you with that, or, you know, help you, maybe if there's like something else that you're looking for, I can help you find that as well. So yeah, do email me if you're interested in a private session, and I hope that you subscribe to my channel, share and like this video, and I will see you next time.